There we go. So far, it's looking good. Okay, so I just want to formally welcome who's here live, who might jump in a couple of minutes. And of course, for all of you amazing women who watched this recording, because as I just mentioned to the participants here already, that I still get a lot of women emailing me back after they've got the invite, like, are you really going to send the recording? I'm like, yes. When you sign up for the new moon gathering every single month, I ask you to register because it puts you just on a little private list just for tonight, where within 24 hours, I absolutely will send you the recording so that you can use what I'm teaching you tonight, because I always aim to do this a day or two before the new moon so you guys can use the teachings to prepare and to be ready for the new moon. So it gives you a window of time. And just remember that even for maybe a day or even up to 2 days after a new moon or even a full moon, use the teachings that I'm sharing with you, because the energy is still very strong about what's happening with the moon. So we don't have to be specific. It's just, as long as you're creating an intention, your intention is being put forward. And so, this is just a powerful way to really validate what's happening in the astrological sky is happening in our lives as well. So very, very excited. So as always, I have a little presentation for you that I'm going to go through, and there's always time at the end for Q&A. If you have any questions, if we want to do some sharing, whatever it is, the space is going to be open for that. But I just always want to make sure you guys really understand what's happening, because you don't have to be an astrologer and you don't even have to know anything about astrology at these events. And that's why I offer it. Okay. So I am also going to shrink us. If any, I'm going to shrink you guys on my screen because it just shows up better on my Canva presentation. And also, if you have any questions, you can put it in the chat. I'll see it's popped in there. But, if there's something urgent coming up and you really want more clarity, because I try not to talk too much astrology, but sometimes, I do, and I forget that you guys are an astrologer. So you can always just stick up your hand or even stop me and just ask a question. Okay, so we're going to get started. So I'm going to shrink you guys, but also I'm going to pop over to my screen and share. Oh, there we go. Yeah, share. And I just want to make sure. Oh, just a minute. Another thing I forgot to do was, it's okay. So, can you guys see what I'm sharing on the screen? Can you guys give me a thumbs up? Yeah. Okay. If you notice that it doesn't, if it stops, then let me know, because once or twice that's happened. Okay, I'm gonna there we go. No, actually, I can keep you guys on there. Okay, so there we go. Let's get started. It's looking good so far. Okay, so here we are for the new moon intention gathering. And my focus is for the new moon is, and you notice this in your invites, in your emails as well, is that the main focus for a new moon is I really want you guys to pay attention to your intuition, your intuitive downloads, to your dreams, because I do find that women, especially, are just becoming much more sensitive right now. And our intuition is really getting a lot stronger. And there's even astrological reasons for that. And we got to remember that our intuition sometimes isn't logical, right? It's like, why do I keep hearing that? Or why did I just see that? Or why do I keep seeing that message come across my feed on social media? Like, it's a time to really stop and pay a little bit more attention, because our spirit guides or God or universe, whatever you want to call it, is always trying to connect with us. And so, uh, for the most part, that is through our intuition when we're slowing down. And for a lot of us, it's in our dream state, or even if we meditate when we're in that zone, that we pick up on the moon. Okay, because it's our subconscious trying to connect with us. So these are just my notes for the agenda. That just keeps me on check. So each month when I do my updates for this, that I'm putting in the correct information. So this is your first time and you don't actually know me yet. I'm your host, Tamron, and I'm a women's wellness astrologer. And pardon me, I am super passionate about teaching women how to use astrology as a template for wellness so that you can feel better on an emotional level, you can feel better physically, and of course, it's for our own spiritual development because astrology is an ancient science and it's been around for a long time. So when we really pay attention to it, we're like, yeah, this does connect to a lot of other things, but there's some truth to a lot of this, right? So I just love it. To me, it's very helpful, and it's been very helpful in my own life. So for every event that you guys come to, not guys, for all of you awesome women that you come to, I'm always going to recommend these very basic housekeeping little secret hacks or suggestions. So is to always have a glass of pure water or an herbal tea, like something that's got no caffeine or alcohol in it. So I'm actually drinking what tea? Nettle tea right now. Just because where I am, I'm still dealing with a little bit of allergies and stuff, and like getting rid of some seasonal allergies is to have, and also to have a blue pen handy, a blank piece of paper if possible, or have something type in your journal on your phone or on your laptop, a way of just keeping record of some of the prompts that I'm going to give you tonight. But I gotta say, technology is great, but a lot of healers still say there's still something about this mind body connection when we actually physically write something down, that it just makes it stronger and helpful for manifesting, whether we're calling something in or we're clearing something out. It's just more somatic, or like in the body. Okay. Always remember, oh, I forgot to light my candle. So I'm going to do it, is to light a candle, or yeah, there's my little candle in here. Light some incense if you like, smudge yourself if you're into that. Use high grade essential oils, start cleaning up the energy of your area, right? And I also recommend, just for around, the event space, no alcohol or hallucinogens. Like, try to be as sober as possible, because your intuition does come in a lot stronger when we're sober. Just saying, they kind of talk about that a little bit in the health and wellness industry. Okay, so let's get cracking here. The definition of a new moon is a monthly experience when the sun and the moon come together in the astrological sky. And so in astrology, we call this a conjunction. Boom. They literally line up directly for just a little window of time. And then the moon's going to start moving a little bit faster because the moon zips around the earth every 28 days. So it's exact for a very specific time. Okay. And this is what we call a dark sky. So if you're going to look outside on Saturday, okay, so that might be Friday night for some people, or early Saturday morning where I am, it's going to be a dark sky. So you don't see the moon. So if there's no clouds in the sky, that's usually a beautiful time to see more of the stars as well, right? So this happens almost every 28 days. There's always a little bit of a variable because of the way that the sun and the moon travel. And also, I'm going to move my screen here. a picture of what the astrology looks like when we go to a specific astrology website to give a snapshot, meaning a picture of what's happening in the astrological sky for when the new moon arrives. So when the sun and the moon are together, I'm going to show you on the screen here. And then also this picture I've put on here is also showing what the 10 main planets are doing in the sky. Because when we talk about astrology, we usually talk about the main planets, which are Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. Like those are the 10. Those are the 10 most common when you go see an astrologer that they're going to start explaining. And for some astrologers, they're only going to talk about the specific ones, which are the ones we can see with the naked eye when we look up in the sky. And that is the sun, the moon, Venus, Mars, Mercury, and then we can see Saturn and Jupiter. Anything past that, you need a telescope, okay? So the ones we can see with the naked eye are the ones that down here on Earth, whenever they are dancing around in the sky, we feel it on a personal level. So this is why we call it a personal planet. There's something being activated within us personally that's really happening if we're paying attention. For the other planets that are farther out, it's more what's happening on a global scale. Like wherever Uranus is, Neptune or Pluto, you'll notice that that's also happening in every other part of the world, right? But it's slower and it's more subtle. Does that make sense? Okay. So for tonight, for this new moon, I'm so blown away by what's happening because I'm going to use my little blue pointer over here. The sun and the moon are going to be in the astrological sign of Taurus. Okay. So Taurus is an earth sign. It represents our values, what we stand for, what we will speak about, because in the body, Taurus rules the throat, it rules thyroid, it rules our voice. It's about what we're willing to stand up for and to talk about, okay? And with this about our core values, because the sun and the moon are going to be together, also the planet sitting right next to the sun and the moon is Mercury. Now, Mercury is moving forward right now. So Mercury represents how we communicate something, how we write something, how we speak it, what we think about, how we are expressing our core values, what matters to you. It's not what matters to someone else. This new moon, this whole month of May, is about what is your truth? And are you willing to stand up and say, this is what matters to me? This is what's important to me. These are my values. They could vary and they could be different to other people, but what is true for you? And are you going to have the courage, even if it's a little bit scary, to say, this matters to me, or I disagree, or, this is what I value. Okay. And also, what's happening is Uranus is sitting very close to these planets. And Uranus has literally in the past week just shifted from the sign of Taurus, but he's really close to those three planets. And he just moved into into Gemini, which is the next sign in the sky. But Uranus is about quick intuitive downloads. Like all of a sudden you just get a light bulb moment, or you're meditating and you get a vision, or you're having a conversation with someone and boom, it comes into your consciousness. Okay. Get ready for that. It's already happening to me. I know it's happening to a lot of people. I want you to pay attention to it because it's literally your higher self giving you a message. And it's like, are you seeing this? Are you paying attention to this? Like, trust your intuitive downloads. Okay. And also, what's happening is these planets together are wherever there's a blue line, it's always a positive. It's actually what we call, what I call, or what I was taught to call a sexy, what we call a sextile. So the joke is it's sexy because it's also triggering Jupiter because it's a blue line. And Jupiter was retrograde for quite a while. And he's in the sign of Cancer, which rules women. Okay. And it's about this empowerment that's happening. This is all positive. But again, these big blue lines with all of these planets that we just talked about that are also being triggered this weekend. Actually, it's happening right now with the planet of Pluto, which is the farthest planet out there that we talk about in astrology. And he just went retrograde a couple of days ago. And Pluto represents, ladies, your personal empowerment. Pluto is the planet that can change so much in your life, but he moves very slow. This is what's happening globally. But when any planet, I'm going to review this again, when any planet goes retrograde, it's not an outward experience, it's internal. So you literally feel it, and you feel something within you changing. You're like, whoa, I feel I have the power to say that because all of a sudden that feels true for me right now. I may have been thinking about it before, but you know what? Yeah. I'm seeing where I have a little bit of power in here. Does that make sense? Yeah. And so he just went retrograde, and he's going to be retrograde. I'm going to recap this for you at the end for the next 5 months. Okay. So this is going to be a very subtle change, but I guarantee you, if you start thinking about and taking action about what your true core values are right now, that within 5 months' time, you're going to be in a very different place in your life. Okay. Very, very different. You're going to be holding a different space as a leader. You're going to be connecting with more women. You're going to feel safer in your body, speaking your truth, because if it's a little bit scary right now, that's okay, right? It's just this slow little step, right? So I'll talk a little bit more at the end how this might show up. So to me, I was like, yeah, I've even noticed some things that are happening. And what I started hearing in my head a couple of days ago was, after having a very off the cuff conversation with my kids about family stuff, things that have happened many years ago, because my kids are now in their early 30s, that I always used to say, man, when my kids are in my 30s, I'm sure they'll be able to understand some of the things that need to be told, not negative, but the truth that needs to be told about me as a mother, as a parent, about things that happened, because when they were young and when I was going through a lot of my stuff, they were too young. They need to be older. They need to be adults for me to share things, because one of my core values was, I'm not going to bash somebody else for somebody else's behavior. I came into a relationship with my own stuff, my own baggage, things that I needed to heal, and the reasons why I was in that relationship, or even other relationships that showed up. And so I was still on my own journey of healing and discovering things about myself. But intuitively, I knew that when my kids were in their 30s, so now all of a sudden, it's not like I planned these conversations. They just kind of come out, and I don't plan it. And so every day I'm like at the end of the day going to myself, whoa, that was a little bit heavy, what I just shared. But it was okay to start sharing the truth. Okay. So it kind of felt uncomfortable, but I felt comfortable because I felt safe sharing it. And when the moon is in Taurus, it is about what the steps that we are taking to line up with our core values. Is that it's all about feeling safe in our bodies, because Taurus rules the physical body, is feeling safe enough to share what we now feel we have the courage to share with other people, and have the courage to ask for and for what we believe in. Is that resonating? Yeah. So it's an amazing month. I'm telling you, this is the beginning of something so amazing. So I'm so glad you're here. And if you're watching the recording, I'm just so glad that you ladies are paying attention. Okay. So that is the energy of what's happening in the sky right now. So we're going to continue moving on. I'm going to share some of the hacks. But again, if you're new, I just want to share a little bit about myself, because really I started hosting the circles for women way back in 2015. And this is a real picture of the little space that I had. I had a brick and mortar business that was a health and wellness center where I made handmade organic raw foods, smoothies, juices, because that's where I was on my journey. And I was learning about nutrition, and I had already been a certified health coach. I already got my training in that. And I was very passionate about using natural remedies to help mainly women. It was mainly women, but I did have some men clients, which was interesting, that were coming to me. And at that time, I was studying a lot about herbology, Bach flower remedies, using high grade essential oils, but I was starting to learn a lot about the healing properties of food when I started studying nutrition. So when when I decided to open my health and wellness business, I started with the food, and I was really hoping to do more of the coaching, but I'm going to be honest, I didn't have a business plan. I literally just opened the doors and off I went. And I did learn a lot. And a lot of people kept saying to me, you need to go and study marketing. And I'm like, why? The people keep coming in. But after about 7 years, a lot of people just said to me, you got to share more of your stories. You should be a speaker, you should be a writer. But I didn't understand what I was supposed to talk about, because still back then, even though I had a radio show, I had a local show I started with that became number one. Then I went online and had a lot of fun doing that and bringing people on. I still didn't know what my story really was. And again, it was part of my own journey to understand where I was growing and seeing a lot of myself. So I decided to shut it down. And I decided, okay, I'm going to go take a year off, and I'm going to hire a coach, and I'm going to learn to figure out what my story is and start speaking and stuff. And so I did a little bit of that, but that was the beginning of the online world and speaking, and the beginning of social media, really, because that was around 2016 and 17. It was still very new. And so I dabbled in a few things, but I did learn how to do teaching more effectively in person, and then did that for a few years. And then of course, COVID hit, and the world went online. And then the last few years I've been diving into more of the coaching and really getting a proper marketing uh, uh, program in place. And so again, this is why I offered this for free. So I've been doing these circles now for like over 11 years, and they haven't stopped, whether it's been physical or online. There's always there's always an opportunity for me to connect with other women and to just hold space and to build my list and to keep connecting and to keep growing my community. So I just love it. And it's always very laid back, but now I have a little bit more of an educational component to it and some structure. So that's why I still love to do these every single month. Okay, so let's get started. The first secret that I want to share with you is always, and this is going to apply every single month, ladies. So try to remember these two. Is like I mentioned earlier, just literally pay more attention to your dreams and to what you're feeling, what's coming up, especially around the new moon. And you can either write it down and embrace everything, because I guarantee what's coming up for you, if you really start talking to other people, it's coming up for them too. It's very fascinating what's showing up as a collective right now, especially because Pluto's involved. And like I say, Pluto's gone retrograde and Pluto is an outer planet. So there is a lot of fear happening globally right now. And there's a lot of propaganda and a lot of things happening, which maybe not true. And that also is being represented by that planet Neptune in the sign of Aries right now, where, you really got to trust your intuition a lot more. And as an astrologer, what I'm going to share is, if you don't know how to tap into your intuition and how to trust it, you better learn. That's all I can say. Even to the younger people, I'm even telling younger people, you got to learn how to meditate and you got to start learning how to trust your intuition, because that's going to be our guidance system moving forward, right? We really have to tap in. And that's where we can really trust and go, you know what? Yeah, people might be talking about that, but my heart is telling me to do this. And that's what I'm going to do. And that's where I'm going to go. Okay. And also, I want to share with you the reason why we come together and to host these gatherings, or for even for you, if you're doing anything with a small group or a group of people yourself, the definition of that is called the Maharishi effect. And I can't remember the name of the book that I read this in, but it was the one with the guy that did The Secret. Guy that wrote The Secret, but I can't remember, but he explained it in his book too. And this is the phenomena in which large groups of people effectively spark positive change by focusing on a common goal. So whether we're meditating or we're praying together in church on a common outcome, you and others can collectively tap into this energy field of abundance and start eliminating the common blocks and the patterns we all have. So what I mean by that is literally an equation. And I'm a little bit of a math and a science nerd. So to me, this is E squared, what we learned in math. And there was a book written called E squared. And basically what that means is that the energy of the people that are coming together gets magnified. It doesn't add on. So when you have one person thinking or writing something down, then it's the energy of one person. But once another person enters the space, or even a collective, or watching the recording, the energy is not 1 + 1. It meaning two, equaling two. It's 1 multiplied by 10. That's the squared energy. So it means the energy of 10. And when you add a third person into the equation, it's 10 multiplied by 10. So it equals the energy of 100. And you add a fourth person, 100 multiplied by 10 is the 1,000. And it just keeps jumping. All you're doing is adding another zero. So this is why it becomes really powerful when you come to these events or you listen to the recording, because regardless of what you're doing, the energy of all of us just kind of coming together on the new moon or the full moon energy is enhancing whatever it is that you're going to be writing down. Okay, does that make sense? It's just that's where the magic is. So it's a wonderful way to really embrace this energy. Now, it looks like the camera is frozen. So, can you guys, yes, to move. Okay, we're good. Okay. So, number two, the secret number two is to use the following template that I'm going to share with you to give yourself some time to connect with your own intuition. I'll give you a couple of minutes. Feel free to write anything down to pull in this energy, right? And to use it. So I am going to share with you my template that I put together years ago. And this kind of happened intuitively as we started with the healing circles, but then I started tapping into more astrology over the years, and so it's a little bit more specific now, where each little thing I'm asking you is based on an element. So I'll review that with you. So there's some elemental wisdom that's coming through because astrology is based on four elements, right? Which is based on other things too, other teachings. So the new moon is, again, what you want to embrace, what you want to call in, new people, new opportunities, right? But we don't have the power to control anybody else. The focus always has to be on ourselves. And that's where the magic really lies, where, you focus on what it is that you're feeling and what's coming up for you. So, some examples of things that you could be writing about is embracing whatever feelings that you want to call in or to bring into your life. And when it's a new moon, we want it to be like what we're bringing in. So you want the positive energy. So our feelings is our water. It's the water element. It's the subconscious. So for me, what I wrote down is I'm embracing feelings of strong self-worth. Because remember what I talked about. Taurus is about our self-worth. It's about our core values. It's about what I'm willing to stand up for. Okay. It's the voice. It rules money. Venus is about money and what we value. The next thing that I have on my template is I am embracing mental thinking patterns of, and this is the air element. It's what we write down. It rules Mercury. It's, what we're going to think about, what we're going to express. Right? So, in order to express something, you want to think about it first. So, even, which I'll share later, I have on this slide is, if you want to express something to someone, for me, a lot of times what I've done in the past where I was a little bit nervous of needing to say something is I literally wrote it down so that I didn't fumble, so that I could be very clear so that there was no confusion about what I was going to say, or someone can manipulate and say, you said this. I said, no. Remember, this is what I'm asking for, right? So I wrote, I'm embracing mental thinking patterns of putting my needs first. And ironically, I had a conversation with my mom today because it's the long weekend coming up. So I'm not working. I've got my schedule all planned out, but I've got 3 days. We're going to have finally some nice hot weather in Ontario. It's going to be so nice out. I do not want to be working at all. So I know my services are needed in my family right now because a lot of people are going through some major health issues, and that's showing up astrologically. So literally one by one, including myself, there have been some major health issues happening with irritation and inflammation in every single person I know. And that's because of this Mars, Saturn, Neptune conjunction happening in the sign of Aries, which rules the physical body. And it's been heavy for some people. It's just, inflammation for a lot of people. So, everybody's needing help. And so I know that, but I need help too. I had a major fall myself 5 weeks ago, and I'm still in recovery, and it's been very difficult for me. And so I was like, this conversation I had was, I'm willing to come out on this day and help you at this time for this amount of time. I'm going to come back I'm going to sleep in my own bed. And the next day, I'm going to go hang out with my friends. And the next day, I'm going to go help another family member. Bam. I wrote it all down. I texted it out. I called them because it's not like me in the past to put my needs first. I was always running out the door to go help everybody else. And in the past, many years ago, who fell? Who fell apart? Who became depressed? Who became suicidal? Me, because I didn't know what self-care was. That was a foreign word for me and a foreign language, right? So now that I'm much older and wiser, it doesn't say that it's not going to happen. It's still going to happen, right? Because if everybody in the circle is needing help, then I can't help anybody else unless I've helped myself first. And it has been a tough journey to even ask for that. So that was a big thing for me, Taurus, in saying, this is my healthy boundary. And I felt really good about asking for it. And everybody was, yeah, that works for me. Oh, and everybody was like, that works for me that day. That works for me. And I was like, isn't that amazing how it all just seemed to line up? Right? It was so good. I literally felt it in my back. And I felt so good. I literally felt the energy moving up my spine. And I was like, wow, this feels really good. Very empowering. Okay, so the next one is I wrote, and this behavioral patterns. So again, this is an action step. So this is fire element where we're taking an actual action, okay? Doing something. So I wrote, I'm embracing behavioral patterns of managing my time more effectively to manage myself and my money. Because conversations that have been coming up are also about value, the equal value between time and money. So you might look at my life and say, oh, you have a lot of time. You can be helping with this. And I go, yeah, but the value of what I do in a small amount of time, is that not equal to the value of something else? Just because you see the story different, right? I value that. So if it's the same in value, then it's equal, however it shows up, right? So the conversations are, what is everybody, for me, it was, what is everybody bringing to the table collectively that carries the same value and makes it fair? So that's what was showing up for me. And lastly, is I am embracing my abundance beliefs around paying myself first in my solopreneur business. So things show up in our personal life and they show up in our business life too. And that was a big one for me to really embrace. And I'm seeing that with other people around me too, because I never used to even pay myself in my business. I paid all my staff and my employees, and I never really paid myself. And so another reason why, I was having a lot of money issues in my business was because I wasn't seeing the value of who I was as an employee of my own business. Everybody else got paid, so I get paid. I should be getting paid too. And I learned a lot of that with studying T. Harv Eker. But again, my business is taking off again. And so now every morning I check my money in my personal account of my business. And I never used to do that before, but I'm learning from business coaches that you always got to keep track. So I'm paying more attention to where my money comes in and my money goes out. And that's going to be a big focus for me this year, is to do that daily and to do that weekly and to check in with my bookkeeper and my accountant so that my books don't become a mess. Okay. Because that became my weakness. I was always focused on other elements of my business where I'm keeping better track of things this year. And I learned that last year. in the same business program where I met Felicia, and I really like it. And it just makes me feel more empowered, where I'm always keeping track of my money. Is this making me money? Is this growing my community, even if it's free? Am I helping people? It is a good price point, whatever, so on and so forth. And so it just feels really empowering to, be in charge of my money. Right. So it's just all this energy that's moving through my body right now. So those are some examples, and I share them just so that, I don't want to come in here and say I'm perfect. Like, we're all going through this stuff, right? So I encourage you guys to take some time, whether you take a photo and you take a couple of days and write a few things down for yourself. And also, what I would like to share next, I'm going to talk about this on my sheet because it's not on here, but is to take a photo of your written notes. And I started doing this because there's another final step I'll talk about at the end, is because what I noticed is that within 6 months' time, usually because the new moon will be somewhere else, it'll be in the exact opposite position of the sky in 6 months' time, that I guarantee something you wrote down on here may have started right away, or within 6 months' time, something really shifts for you. And remember, the new moon comes every month. So as we're, really paying attention to what we're calling in, it's like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, that showed up. It just showed up in a different package sometimes, right? It's like, oh my goodness, no, that did happen, right? Because sometimes we're asking for something and we think it's going to show up in a certain way, but it did come in. And so that's always really cool to be able to flip back and I look at my photos and go, oh, wow, yeah. Okay, that did manifest. Okay. So this is the power of always keeping track. So here's an example. I just took a photo. We're going to pull a card tonight. I did remember to get my deck out early and to have it ready. So this message for the new moon in Taurus for all of us is what I'm going to say is, if a card pops out, like falls out, we'll grab it. If it's upside down, it's not a negative card with this deck that I'm using from Colette Baron Reed. It's just more of a protective message. So I'm just going to shuffle for a bit. Sometimes the card pops out or jumps out or whatever, but trust that the message we're all receiving tonight is going to support us on how we can really tap into the core values that I've been talking about, what this new moon represents, about making sure that we stand up for and we have the courage to ask for what it is that we want, what we believe in, based on our own core values. Okay. And nothing's popping out, so I'm just going to take the top card. Oh my goodness. Okay, you ladies ready for this? Look at the message. Truth be told. Okay, it doesn't get any better than that. It just does not get any better than that. And it's in the upright position. It's an owl, it's speaking from the heart. The picture is speaking from the heart. Taking the mask off, right? The mask is underneath. Like, have the guts to ask for what we want. Because remember, the truth always sets us free. That's for sure. Okay, the number on the card is 14. So if you're into numerology, 1 + 4 is 5. That's a powerful number. That's all about change. Embracing change. And here is the message. Okay. Essential meaning for all of us. Honesty. Accepting things at face value, coming out of denial, the willingness to be transparent, clarity of communication. So I'm here, and make sure you write it down. Make sure you write it down first, so it doesn't get twisted and, whatever, in a conversation. And the message is, there is the truth, which is the essence of a thing. And then there is a truth subject according to the philosophy of the adherent or believer. This is not a time for debate about which truth is truer. This is a time when you're called to proclaim your truth out loud and be willing to be transparent, honest, and open in your communication with others and with yourself. And nothing less than surrender to what is, peeling off the layers of denial that kept you tied to an illusion will set you free. Be authentic and gloriously flawed, and spirit will answer with miracles. I gotta love it. I gotta love it. So also what I'm hearing in my head is and this might just be in my life, but you guys, somebody might resonate, is sometimes sometimes other people's version of ourselves is their version. Who we are when we're in our own home, how we live our lives, how we spend our time, what we do, nobody sees. That's the moon. That's the moon and Jupiter, right? Or pardon me, the moon, and Jupiter's in Cancer right now, which is the moon, represents the moon. It represents your house and your home. And so when other people have a story or a version about you, they're going to believe that anyways. It really doesn't matter. But we all know what's true for us, right? And that is our truth. So you can go and you can believe whatever you want. But I know who I am and what my truth is. Whether you see it, whether you choose not to see it, whether you don't want to see it, or whatever it is, it's not my stuff. It's not our stuff. And ironically, I went to the library today and I rented the book, The Let Them Fairy by Mel Robbins, right? I gotta just let it go. If people don't want to believe whatever I believe is true about me, I gotta let them. I can't convince anybody of anything else because I know the truth. And that's all that matters. And I'm going to stand up for what I believe in. Okay. So I don't know if that's resonating, but that's what's coming up for me. But I can't believe that card came up tonight. That's pretty cool for Taurus. Okay. So also every month, ladies, and this is a new moon recipe. All right. So you can grab a picture of it or hold on to it. But if you're into using essential oils, I do find them really powerful. And I'll talk about some herbs and some teas that I'm drinking right now. If I was making my weekly videos, which will start again soon, I will be sharing these in my videos. But because I haven't been doing them and sending them out in the newsletters, I'll share with you tonight. But around the new moon, again, it's always a good time to really like connect with ourselves and to take more time for ourselves so we can get these intuitive downloads. So around the new moon, I always encourage you to take a bath if you can and use some Epsom salts, a cup of Epsom salts, half a cup of baking soda, 8 to 10 drops of an essential oil of your choice if you got a favorite. But for the new moon, I always find that we can use some specific essential oils which really amplify the energy of a new moon. And so frankincense is a really powerful one to use on the new moon. And it really helps to amplify and connect to the higher levels of consciousness, the higher parts of the mind, and to allow those downloads to come in. So frankincense is very powerful for that. It also represents connecting to what we call the father, which is more of father image. It could be spirit of the father, but remember that a father is more of our protective energy, the spiritual protection, whereas mother energy is more nurturing. All right. So it's literally putting you in a bubble. Like when you use frankincense, I use it every day actually. It puts us in a spiritual bubble, like in a spiritual aura, so we can not hear the noise and to hear what's coming through. And another one is patchouli. And the reason why I choose patchouli is it's very grounding, right? For a new moon, like to keep us grounded and stability, feeling stable for any type of growth, because new moon is about growing. And that even represents our financial growth too. So it's a really good combination of essential oils to use. And also, I have written down on a side note what teas I've been drinking and what I would recommend. So, bergamot tea, which is Earl Grey, by the way, it does have a bit of caffeine in it, but that's a really good essential oil or tea for right now. It is also an essential oil. So, I have it going in my diffuser. I've had it going. I would recommend using even lavender as an essential oil, or even if you have a blend of lavender tea. Some people like lavender tea. I'm not too fan of it as a tea, but I use it as an essential oil because you want to stay grounded and you want to get a good night's sleep. Like you want to be sleeping. And especially right now, because with Uranus, like I said, moving into the sign of Gemini, Gemini rules our nervous system, right? It represents the upper body, respiratory, sleep, anything to do with hands, communication. And with Uranus moving into the sign of Gemini, which is literally going to be for the next 7 years, as studying medical astrology, a lot of people are going to have a lot of trouble sleeping. So I'm encouraging everybody, like, really tap into some grounding, anything that grounds you, anything that's going to calm your mind. Learning how to meditate. That's what I said. You got to learn how to meditate and really get a good night's sleep, because for some people who are really sensitive, they're just going to feel like they're literally getting fried. Like there's no other way to describe it. And some people are feeling it now. They're flipping and flopping at night and whatever. But, again, you get the intuitive downloads, but you got to be able to manage that energy. So lavender is always really, really good for that. And also what's good for helping to manage our nervous system is making sure you're getting sufficient magnesium either in your diet, or go speak to a holistic coach or a holistic practitioner, or go to your health food store and make sure you're getting enough magnesium because of this. Like I said, a lot of this energy happening in the nervous system. Does that make sense? Yeah, it's going to be a big one, right? So that is straight across the board. What I'm going to be recommending for any of my clients or anybody I talk to is making sure you're getting a good night's sleep. And it's going to be for the next 7 years. Okay. And again, we can go outside more, be more grounding, use our grounding, walking around barefoot. And yeah, that's what I've been doing and recommending for people as well. Okay, so there we go. If I was making my weekly videos, that's what I'd be talking about. Okay, so another little thing that I decided in my marketing, that only at these events am I going to offer a 30-minute pre-recorded astrology wellness consultation with me. Last year, I was promoting a lot of, coaching programs. And I found by the end of the year that a lot of women that were coming to me, again, they didn't know a lot about astrology. And because what I was offering was so different and so unique, it was a little bit hard for them to understand what it is that I did and what I wanted to offer. So I just decided to do a low ticket where I'll tap into looking at someone's astrological chart, talking about 5 important aspects, which I think are really important, but I just wouldn't do it live anymore. That I would just do it pre-recorded so they could get the recording. They can still get a picture of their astrology chart and the information to them, and I can do it. I can prepare it at a time where it's more flexible for me, and then they can just watch the recordings. And I found that to be a lot more successful for people and a low ticket offer. So again, you only get this low price at this event. at a new moon. So if you have gotten one from me, or you do want to start tapping into some of your own wellness secrets that are lined up with your own astrology chart, this is the only time you're going to get it at these events. And so the information will be on here, and it'll also be included in the recording. And so it literally is, like I say, a 30-minute pre-recorded consultation, and it's going to offer the insights and wellness tips along with one practical strategy to help you align with your daily and your weekly habits according to your unique chart, right? So there's going to be something that's just going to jump out where I'm like, okay, this is always going to be your go-to. So if you're feeling fried, if you're feeling frazzled, if you're going through a challenge, you're going to be like, Tamron said, this is my go-to, right? This is always the go-to for me. And it's different for everybody. Okay. So you can bounce back and you can get on track. And again, there's going to be 5 things I'll talk about, which are, you're going to feel more validated about what you might already know about yourself at this stage, your subconscious landscape, right, that others don't know about you. That's, like I say, who you are in your house when nobody's there. And, when you tap into that, that is really empowering to be like, yeah, that is me. And maybe I need to share that with other people because they don't see that. They don't see who I am when they're not there. How can they? Right. So this is a signature in your chart. And then again, how your mind works, which is different for everyone. So when we're communicating something, each person does it in a different way. And this one really helped me understand my kids. I was like, oh man, and our charts were so different. That's why I would say something and my kids like, no, mom, you said that. And I'm like, that is not what I said. That's what you heard. It's what you heard, because you would have said it different, right? Because for me in my chart, this is how my mind works. And my mind is very structured, and I don't have a lot of emotion in it because I'm a Capricorn. So it might seem like I'm a little bit cold, or I don't care, but boom, you asked me for something, I gave you the answer. What more do you want? Right? And then I also love to share your karmic spiritual lesson. And I give you a little bit of what I call spiritual homework, which again, this is a repeating pattern. It's like, oh, this keeps happening. Tamron said, that's where I got to keep going back and doing the work. I got to do the work because we're all here to do the work. Nobody gets away from that. And then there's always one personalized wellness action step based on one specific element of your chart. All right. And then there's a bonus. There's always something in your chart that always stands out. And I give that because I do think if we go a little bit deeper and we understand ourselves, it's like, sometimes it just feels like a wound that's never going to go away, and it's never going to go away. It's just there. What are you going to do about it? We're all wounded a little bit. Nobody's perfect. But if you can say to someone, this might always trigger me, right? But I just want to let you know that if you're going to keep bringing that up, either my back's going to go up, or I'm going to feel uncomfortable, or whatever. But just know that I can't change that because that's who I am, right? And everybody else has their wounds too, right? It's always good to know this about people. So it's like, yeah, okay. So these, I think, are really important to start understanding yourself. And again, you get an image of your chart. You get the document of all the information. I type it out for you. Plus, then once you've purchased a low ticket item in my community, then you also get the free you become a VIP member. And then you're going to get the monthly invitations to the full moon gatherings, to the big ones where we're going to let go of things together, right? So then you get really into the circle a little bit more. And that's where, we start doing some deeper work every month, clearing, which is on the full moon. Okay. And so you get to come to the new moon every month for free, invite your friends, and then you get the invite every single month as well to the full moon gatherings. Okay. And then you're in the community. And I love to share testimonials. So this is a testimonial from a woman who purchased the wellness consultation, and she was just so blown away by her consultation. And she still comes to a lot of these events too. So she pops in and out at some of them or whatever. And yeah, she still says to me, like, she goes, every year I look at my astrology and it's like, oh, that makes sense now. It really makes even more sense now. So this is what she wrote, that I absolutely blew her mind. The combination of my intuitive skills with my astrology skills is pure magic. And it was so validating. And astrology is validating. That's why I love talking about it. It helped me so much in my own life too. The insights that I gleaned from her birth chart explain so much about her life, plus things that only happen inside her head. And she just couldn't believe that I read that in her chart and I could pick up on her soul. And she said she even suggested homework I could do for more balance in my life. And so she does. She goes back to it. So she wrote, "Thank you, Tammin, for this inspiring, fascinating, and truly unique to me experience. It's a life changer." And that is how astrology can change your life, right? And I have never had an unhappy client, not one. I've never had anybody complain. So, again, this is really low ticket. And I want to remind you guys that I'm Canadian. So, if you are American, you get a better deal. And I'll explain it. So, it's $147 plus tax. So, in Canada, that comes out to about $166 and change. So for Americans, depending on the daily fluctuation of the exchange rate, that comes out to, like, you'll go to the link, it'll still ask you to pay in Canadian dollars, but it'll show up on your credit card statement in your American or somewhere around $125. Okay. So this is a big discount because normally it's $497. Okay. So that's about 70% off the regular price. And I'm only doing so many of these every single month, right? So that's how you can invite your friends. That's how you can purchase one if you want. And again, it's pre-recorded. And there is the QR code, which I will keep on the screen if anybody wants it. But again, this is in the recording as well. Here's the square link for it, which shows up in the recording, in the email. And we're going to continue. Okay. So the last step, what I encourage you to do is after you take a picture of what it is that you guys are writing down, is to connect with the fire element. Okay. So we tapped into what we were feeling, right? Which is our water. We tapped into the air element of writing it down using blue ink, which is protective energy and paper. Okay. I'm encouraging to use anything from the earth using teas, herbs, essential oils. Sometimes it's a food, a recipe. And then the fourth element is fire. So you're using all of the four elements as well when you follow this structure a little bit, which just kind of gives you a full circle and helps you to manifest and call things in. And then what I encourage you to do is to take it if you want, or you can keep it, but burn it, like throw it in the fire outside somewhere. So when we do these live events outside, we always have a bonfire going. And I remember this one night we were sitting, this is when I was in Northern Ontario, living at my camp on the lake during COVID. And I was still hosting these outdoors because it was COVID. And I found a place. Oh, this is where I volunteered actually. And so they would bake all their baking. It was an Italian place where they did all their baking and their Italian bread in this fire oven. And so she would let the lady every month would light the fire for us. And we'd throw our wishes into the fire. So she'd get the fire going the night before. For she was such a beautiful woman, right? So again, it's completing the cycle and saying this is what I'm wanting to manifest. So it is done. You have to believe that God or the universe has heard your prayers, and boom, it's done. You don't even have to keep thinking about it anymore. It's been heard. Making sense, right? All right, calling it in. Okay. So again, I did talk a little bit about this in the beginning, but I just want to remind you guys that this Pluto energy being retrograde, it's in the sign of Aquarius. So again, you don't need to know a lot about astrology, but I'm just going to share with you when it's in Aquarius, Aquarius represents the collective. And so it rules the people. And so that's why we're seeing such upheaval in the world right now, is because stuff, it just has to change. Like, and we're all going to become so much more empowered if we speak our truth and we stand up for what we believe in. We don't have to be aggressive. We don't have to fight. We don't have to do whatever. Some people will, but sometimes by just standing up for what you believe in is enough. It's just enough to have a voice. That's all, right? And so we're going to see a lot of changes happening for people that just feel like, you know what? We have a say in this world, right? And we don't have to be a leader. We can just be the people. And that's really what the age of Aquarius energy really is about finding equality and compassion and having a voice and standing up for what we believe in so that we live in a better world. Okay. So with this energy being retrograde again, it's not so much external, like it's not so much physical, it's internal. You feel it internally. It's stuff you're going to be thinking about, and even just kind of noticing. It's like, wait a minute. Like for me, I was like, I didn't plan for that conversation to come up, but when I sat back and thought about it, I felt good that it happened, but then I felt it in my physical body, right? Because it was energy that was moving through me. So it's a really powerful time. So again, this might show up as less external power struggles, but more of an internal transformation that we're all going to go through and what needs to change. And just trust that you already know what needs to change. You already know what you stand for, but are you gonna just like take the plunge, maybe write it down, and have the courage to say, this is what I believe in, and this is what I want to ask for, right? What you need for your own health and wellness journey, or for what you believe is, your own truth, right? So you can ask yourself, where can you reflect on your own power? Where can you stand up and just say, this is me, this is who I am, whether you like it or not, the let them theory. Maybe notice any patterns showing up, like, oh, maybe in the past I didn't feel comfortable saying that, but I can say that now, because maybe, our parents or our mothers or whatever, they never felt they had the power. They maybe have never felt they had a voice, or maybe they didn't even have a voice. Whereas, you can notice and say, oh, I do have a voice, and so when we do that, we're clearing the karma of the previous generations, right? Because when you realize, hey, wait a minute, I have a voice, that just means you're realizing you do have a power and that you matter, right? And be honest about what isn't working, right? And loosen your grip on trying to control others. And that's a big one for me. That was a big one for me too. It's like I can only control myself. I can't control what other people think about me. I don't even want to worry about it anymore. It's like that's just too much to think about. If you can relate to that. It's like I don't want to waste my time thinking about that anymore. I'm getting up there. I want to go have some fun. Okay. So again, why is this new moon so powerful astrologically? It's because a lot is happening with this Pluto retrograde, and I'm pretty excited about it because, like I said, those other planets that are being triggered, right? Not only it's the sun and the moon on the new moon, but Mercury and Uranus are beside it, and Neptune and Saturn, and then Jupiter on the side, right? There's a lot of planets because the sun rules like what we know about ourselves. The moon represents our feelings, our subconscious. Mercury is about what we're thinking about, what we need to say. Uranus is these intuitive downloads that are coming in. Neptune, right? This is a higher consciousness that's coming in, but it's also a more of a divine consciousness. To me, it represents divine love. It's about, when we speak our truth, our heart just really opens and blossoms, like, because it's more spiritual. And Saturn is, the patterns just keep showing up to give us our lessons, right? And then Jupiter is, where what gets expanded and how it can help us to evolve on a spiritual level. So these planets are all being triggered on this new moon, right? So I just popped in here some examples, which I've kind of already gone over, but again, just be honest with yourself and be willing to ask for what you really want and what you need to feel safe and secure, and to find the courage to do so, even if it feels a little bit scary. Again, that's because this new moon is in Taurus, and Taurus is about what we value, right? And because it rules the throat in astrology, it really is about giving a voice to what you believe in. So, and this could even be like people that write music or are going to have the power to, like, really write about something that or write a song that they may have never felt they had the courage to write about, or to write a story or a book, or share a story, or even for me to be more honest and authentic at what I'm sharing at my events, yeah, because when we share something first, we open the space for everybody else. And once we are more vulnerable and we share and we talk about something, because we open the space first, then it becomes safe for everybody else in the room. Does that make sense? Yeah. And so I know, Felicia, you're really good at that. Like, you are a power woman with that, right? So you're not afraid to share. And that's why, it makes it feel safe for other people to do the same. So it's just a very empowering time. So again, those are the planets that are really being activated. There's a lot of them, right? We have a couple of red lines in the sky, but nothing major to worry about. So there's a lot of good things that are going to be happening this month. So again, what could show up in your life right now? Well, personally, what version of you are you ready to, like, say goodbye to? Done. To me, I see, like, when I keep thinking about this and I keep seeing it, this vision I keep getting when I'm meditating is, it's kind of funny where I literally see people sitting at a kitchen table, and it's like where I go, okay, well, here's the one story, and now we're going to listen to the other story, and the tables are going to turn, because you have the choice to decide which story you're going to listen to, or whatever, what version of it. But I guarantee that if you look at it from a different point of view, the tables will turn, right? Who wrote that song? Was it Adele? Like something about tables turning, or turning the tables, or something like that. I don't know. I can't remember. But it's like, yeah, when you speak your truth and you talk about something, somebody else's version of you might be a very different story right now, right? So that's what I keep seeing, is the kitchen table turning. So anyways, again, could be feeling called to invest more in yourself and your health, because again, with these planets being in the sign of Aries, which is, the Mars and the Neptune and the Saturn, without getting too technical, this is a 2-year window that's going to be triggered with these planets. So here's some inside scoop, and I'm getting warm because I put this vest on to stay warm in here. In astrology, in medical astrology, that represents a lot of inflammation in the physical body. Okay. So a lot of people are going to have inflammatory issues, inflammation that can be triggered by anger. Look what's happening on the planet, right? A lot of stuff like that. So really watch your diet, Really watch for what types of things are causing inflammation. Like for me, that's where I've been paying attention to. I've gotten seasonal allergies for the first time ever. And I was like, I said to the doctor, what do you mean I have seasonal allergies? I go, what is that? And she goes, well, when you get into your 60s, I'm like, what? Right. But again, so I've had to start changing up some of the herbs, really watching what I'm eating, and start implementing more things that are going to reduce the inflammation. And so that's going to go on. And so for a lot of people, they're experiencing a lot of inflammatory flare-ups and that kind of stuff too. So again, when clients are coming to me, it's going to be in their chart somewhere. So again, that's for everybody. And then where are you holding back from maybe expressing yourself, right? Just, and this is a 5-month, little sojourn. It's not going to be like right away, but it's already being activated right now. And then professionally, right? Hey, if your intuition's been telling you to do something a little bit different or to launch a new offer or an idea or pay attention or ask your higher consciousness, what's a different way of doing something? Well, I'm going to be honest. I asked myself that question last night, and this morning I was sitting there doing the word find thingy in the morning, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is a better name. This is a better name of the free event that I can do. And so literally I went and pitched it today in my local community, and bam, 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 people were saying, yes, let me put you in for the fall. Let me put you in for next year, like, because things have to process. And I was like, yeah, it's the same content, what I was doing, but I came up with a better name for it, and it just lined up. Okay. So this is Uranus and Gemini. If you're hearing something, or if you want something, ask your higher consciousness. Okay, what is it I can't see? What don't I see right now? Let me see it. And make the time in your day where you're carving out more time for these downloads to come in. Okay. Also, because Taurus rules money and what we value, Taurus is also about a long-term thing. It's not so much a short-term thing. So if you want to feel more financially stable, start looking at, where are you taking action steps right now that are going to offer you more financial stability in the long run and less risk taking. Like if you do that right now, if you spend time that right now, are you guaranteed you're going to make money, or are you taking a risk with that? Right? This is kind of where you need to start thinking about stuff like that and just let it ride over the long run. Feeling ready to commit to something meaningful and aligned that excites you. Right. So again, somebody said something on social media the other day, and it's like, I used to talk about it like that too. And I was like, I'll say it. And so I've been saying to people, so it was pretty funny. It was like, stop putting things in your shopping cart that you really know you shouldn't be putting in there. Right? Stop saying yes to something just because you think somebody else wants you to do, or you think, someone else's opinion or whatever. If you don't want to eat it, if you don't want to do it, if you don't want to spend your time doing that, then just have the guts to say, I just don't want to do that anymore. And I don't want to put it in my shopping cart, and I don't want to pay for it. Okay. All right. Thought that was funny how she said, stop putting it in the shopping cart. I'm like, that's just so true. Or don't eat it. If you're trying to watch your diet, or you're trying to stay off anti-inflammatory, and you're at somebody's house and that's what they're serving, show up with your own food. That's what I've been having to do lately. And don't offend them, and just say, I'm not here, like, you can do whatever. It's like, I can look after myself. So again, because it's Taurus, it's not about rushing. And with Pluto retrograde, again, it's going to be a while. So, but it is about alignment. It is about being intentional and this internal transformation that's beginning now over the next 5 months. So by writing this down, ladies, and you look back in 5 months, you might be saying, I'm so glad I came to this event tonight because look where I am. I've put my link tree on here because I've been updating my social media. More to come too. I'm going to be changing up some of my social media next week. Okay, and again, because you came to this event, if it was your first time or not, for the new moon, always look in your inbox in around 4 weeks because you can come back again. And the new moon is when you can invite your friends, right? Bring more people in if you found this to be fun or if it really worked, or you just want to, say, hey, come and try this out. You do have to register, but again, you can unsubscribe from that list at any time. And then you're also going to be put on my regular email list. So if there's anything that I'm doing, whether it's going to be a workshop, live event, or whatever, you're going to get the emails pretty soon. I will have my weekly emails again with my weekly videos. I've changed the name of my weekly videos from Your Time Matters to Your Wellness Matters. Everything's going to come out on Wednesdays as more of a Women's Wellness Wednesday theme. I'm going to be doing that. And yeah, just cleaning up my social media. So I've been working on that over the winter. And yeah, I just kind of did things slowly as well. So I had to let go of trying to rush and get it all done. And so that's most likely going to come out very soon. So I'm pretty excited about that, where you'll get the weekly updates on what's happening, what I recommend for the herbal teas, essential oils. And I'm also going to be doing some other fun things too, which I'll be rolling out slowly over the rest of the year. So again, you can unsubscribe at any time. This is actually a real picture of a peninsula in northern Ontario where I had my camp that I sold a year and a half ago. But I still want to do some of my retreats up there. But this is an actual image of the peninsula of the ground, which looks like a giant, and it's called the Sleeping Giant. And we drive out on here, and my retreats and hiking days, we hike, and you can actually climb to the top of the head in a day and come back down. You don't have to go all the way up. But this is off of Lake Superior too. So it's a beautiful place. Beautiful place. So I love this image for my social media. And again, as always, thank you for coming out and spending some time with me. Because once we're going to stop recording in a minute. But this is actually a picture of a little plaque that I used to have. And I love this because let's face it, ladies, well-behaved women rarely made history. If you want me to stay quiet and not say anything at all, then we cannot make a difference in the world, right? We don't have to fight and get nasty, but our voice matters and what we believe in matters. And that's how we're going to make a difference as women on the planet right now, because we do actually have a lot of power, right? Yeah, we really are stepping into our power. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is stop sharing. So I do that correctly. Then I'm going to stop recording.